The annoying thing about this episode is that it could have been great. It could have been one of the best episodes of this series, this animated compilation they've created here. But it turned out to be very bland and boring because of the twists and turns they took throughout the episode. I don't know why they took these very boring twists, these very uninspired turns that turned out not to be turns at all.
Yeah.
But by doing it, you just created a very meh product.
There weren't twists and turns. We saw it all coming.
Hey, NarendraTheComic here.
India!
No, we got nonsense, but right now we have our episode 6 review of What If. And as we said there, this episode could have been great. There were so many positive elements to it, but the trajectory they took with it just left it feeling empty and hollow. And with the characters they had here, with the stuff in the story they potentially were going with, there was a lot of opportunity there. And it turned out to just be Black Panther 2.0.
Yeah, I feel like these characters, Tony Stark's character is interesting. I understand that with the way the story went, he didn't become Iron Man. But he still had a heroic nature in him. He was just going down it via a different path. Pepper was still heroic, right? Killmonger was still Killmonger, and that's what I didn't like. I thought this was going to be a good version of Killmonger. When he was first introduced, I was like, oh, this is good Killmonger. That's so cool and interesting, because I want to see what he would have been like if he wasn't the villain.
If he was a good guy.
But then they just made him the villain again, just with a different methodology, same hopeful outcome.
Same motivation with him being the bad guy, but somehow through some weird convoluted mind, there will be people saying, he's not really a bad guy. Because I remember that was a big thing when Black Panther came out, that was what he was doing really wrong? And it was like, yes, definitely, what he was doing was wrong. Was what T'Challa was doing and what Wakanda was doing right? I would say more right, but maybe it wasn't 100% right either. But with this, they just doubled down on the Killmonger mindset without changing his character. And I think the whole point of this show is you're changing the way you view these characters. But by going down this story path, nothing changed. With him, it was, he's still evil, in my mind. He's still the villain. But this time he also killed Tony Stark, Rhodey, as well as a bunch of other people.
It was very see-through. After the first 5 minutes, I was like, oh, I see where this is going. And then the more we figured out about the story, I was like, oh, I see where this is going. And lo and behold, everything we thought was going to happen, happened. And I was like, guys, it's very uninspired. Like, this was probably the most boring episode since episode 1. And for the same reason that we were able to figure out what was happening before it happened. Whereas with the other episodes, everything was coming out of nowhere. We weren't really sure sometimes.
The spontaneity was so high with all of these other episodes, but with episode 1 and this one, it was just dusted away like it meant nothing. They weren't trying to be innovative. They were just retelling the same story in a different way. That's what they did here. They retold Black Panther in a slightly different way. And it's like, Black Panther was a good film. You don't need to retell it. Was it one of the best MCU films? No, but it was definitely a good movie, and you don't need to be retelling that story because we've seen it and they made a better version of it in the film.
Yeah, something's really off about it. The animation was beautiful.
There were some great shots.
Yeah, there's some really beautiful shots. I think Wakanda, the way they'd imagined it in the films, was very beautiful, and in animation, it sang even more, which I really liked. But like, the story was very lacking. Tony was the same Tony. He just didn't get to have his character growth. So there was no real difference.
He did have some character growth, but it wasn't to the degree that turned him into Iron Man, turned him away from the way he was, and altered his character so quickly come the Avengers in 2012. But he was on that path. It just would have taken a lot longer to get there. Maybe he wouldn't have been Iron Man, but maybe he would have been a more responsible weapons dealer. It's never black and white. It's never black and white. Hey, I say it's never black and white. There was that moment in the show where Killmonger kills Tony. And Tony's talking about, you know, we're just trying to do right by our dads. We're just trying to make sure we do the right thing through their memory. We're the same like that. And Killmonger's like, no, we're not the same. People like you will never be like me. And I'm like, this is so odd because objectively, Killmonger is nuts. And that is crazy to say that because you have a shared experience there that is nothing to do with race, nothing to do with culture. It's to do with real life human shit. And you just shat on it with his character here.
Yeah.
Like, that could have been a moment where he could have said, I know you're right.
Yeah.
I know you're right. you're correct, but I still need to do this.
Maybe that was showing his hatred. Maybe they wanted to hammer that home to show that Killmonger couldn't change, even in this universe. This was a second chance. At the beginning, the Watcher said a second chance for the villain. Not a second chance to redeem himself, but a second chance to do the wrong thing.
Yeah, you know, but that's the thing, though. He had that moment in that death scene with Tony where he said, I didn't want you to be one of my kills.
Yeah, I didn't
So
want
maybe that was a little bit of that slight inkling of he didn't want to do it, but he ended up having to do it.
I don't know.
Because that's a line that didn't need to be said.
No.
But the fact he said it.
He was regretful over Tony's death because he got along with Tony.
Yeah.
He liked Tony. But he needed to go because he knew too much. I was really excited to see what was going to happen with this.
Him and Killmonger. Yeah. How is this mix going to work? And after the first few minutes, I was like, no. This is the same thing again and again and again. And the only thing that didn't happen that I thought would happen was Killmonger killing T'Chaka. That was the only thing I was like, he's going to kill the king and become king. He just became Black Panther instead. You know, Shuri obviously super smart. I don't know how old she's meant to be here, like 6 or something, maybe
8, if that. But then the numbers don't really work.
Let's not look into it. There was so much that could have been done here to make an incredible story, and it just fell very flat.
One thing I was interested to see was the visual we got of the Watcher.
Yeah.
Every episode we're seeing a bit more of him, or he's coming a little bit closer. And now we saw what he was wearing, what he looked like. Whereas before he's just been like the shadow with just the eyes. Right? Is this him becoming overly involved in the human stories in our universe?
There you go. Probably is at one point or another, and he's going to be making some changes because he's going to view things differently and say, maybe this one's gone too far, boys. Maybe I need to assemble a team of my own. I'm thinking that's kind of the vibe they're going to go with the last couple episodes. But I think this episode and last episode as well, it left the story in a way which felt incomplete almost. Like, I suppose that's the way they want to do it sometimes with, oh, imagine what happens next, which is fine. But I didn't feel that way with the first few episodes. They felt like complete stories.
Yeah.
Whereas these last 2 episodes have felt like there's a story to be told afterwards that we just missed out on.
I think it must be intentional.
Yeah, it has to
where
be.
they're hoping on picking up on these later.
Maybe.
But it really did feel, when it came to the end and there was a still shot, I was like, no, they can't finish here. I need to see the resolution.
Yeah.
I need to know. And same with the previous
It's
episode.
very odd, isn't it? They've kind of just ripped up the entire idea of how to tell a story.
Yeah.
Because they're like, we don't need to give a resolution.
They stopped 2/3 of the way in. Just when things are starting to really get interesting, they just stop.
And it's like, no, there's no sequel. There's no second episode. It's like, this is the whole story here. And you can just think about what happens next.
No.
Very odd storytelling.
Unless that's going to come home to roost further on in the series, I don't like this. Like, people like knowing what happens in the end, not just imagining it. People like imagining it after the resolution.
Yeah, to say what would the world be like after this point.
But
Not
like
at the 2/3 point, not at the halfway point of the story.
No, really.
Yeah. It is what it is, though. You can't have it all, and I would say What If has been a good series up till now. I think most of the episodes have been intriguing, interesting, but there have been a handful of lackluster ones. This one and episode 1. So hopefully episode 7 will be better. Episode 8, and apparently there are only 9 episodes, though. So we're coming to the end of this season, and then once this finishes, we've got Hawkeye coming out, I think middle of November.
Oh, that's really soon.
Yeah, really soon. The months have just crept up, and we're not getting that time back. And you're not getting the time back for watching this, so we will not waste any more of your time. Anyway, guys, if you did enjoy this video, please do like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel down there. If you didn't, Killmonger himself gonna come after you. You don't want that. He's still a killer. He's still a savage. That's about it. Yeah.
That is about it.
You really don't want it. So just subscribe anyway to avoid that. I've been NarendraTheComic.
I've been India.
She's been Non-Sensei. You've been Graham. We'll see you next time. That's tomorrow. That is tomorrow.
That is tomorrow.
If you don't know, make a video every single day. Been doing it every day for over 1,000 days now. We ain't stopping until we get to 10,000 subscribers. So do subscribe, pop back again tomorrow for some more quality shitty content. So hashtag never know it. Just how it goes. Also bring the podcast means nonsense in Punjabi, and we also bring that. Bring a lot. Bring a little, do a lot, do a little, but we do indeed bring the quality shitty content on a daily basis. So see you tomorrow. More of the same. Slightly different, but essentially the very same. Once more. See you then. Skadoosh.